Their numbers and statistics are intentionally not released by the FBI. They are intentionally not collected by the FBI. That's because Americans, as long as they have a victim class, are more likely to go along. Mob rule and mob law. As long as you have someone that you can victimize, as long as you have someone you can take it out on, someone who has it worse than you, you're more likely to go with the flow because it could always be worse. As far as being murdered by the police, the fact that 49% of those killed by police are homeless. They only account for 1/720th of the population. That's like what? A third of 1%? No, it'd be even less than that, wouldn't it? A lot less. That is your victim pool. Those are the people that you can say whatever you want about. As long as nobody cares, they can get away with it. Why is it that the police ended up doing what they did to Zaid Atkinson? Because they thought he was fucking homeless. Duh. This is fucking liberal central. They train those cops specifically how to cater to and lick the assholes of student athletes and alumni. Do you really think they targeted Zaid Atkinson because he was black? No. They targeted him because they thought he was James. It's a homeless man who has a grabber like that and goes around and picks up trash. He got a ticket for littering by a Boulder police officer. 20 years this man has been in Boulder, Colorado with that little grabber picking up garbage. 20 years. They gave him a fucking ticket for littering. Sammy Leon Lawrence IV. You want to play on the color thing? Yeah, okay. A black person per capita is 5 times more likely to be arrested and incarcerated in Boulder County than a white one. However, a homeless person is 346 to 1. That's the ratio over their housed counterparts. That is sick and significant. It's disgusting that homeless people are treated that way. It's also horrible that so many people only care because of the color of the victim's skin. And because they live in houses, because they had roofs over their head, because they weren't actually homeless. Most of Boulder Police's interactions are with homeless people. And many of those interactions come to violence. Zaid Atkinson, he got lucky because of the color of his skin. The skin that he was born in gave him special rights and special privileges. Special rights and special privileges not afforded to the homeless. Not afforded to whites, for sure. We are to blame, apparently, because of the color of our skin for everything that's ever happened wrong in anybody's lives, including our own. And no matter what it is that anybody has done to us, we must have wanted it, needed it, chose it, deserved it, or asked for it because we're white. I must have asked for people to take advantage of me because I'm white. I must have asked for women to harm me because I'm a male. I must have asked black people to harm me because I'm white. This is just fucking insanity. Now you take the mentally ill tag, which is used against all of us. Oh, well, he's probably mentally ill. Well, he's probably an alcoholic. He's probably on drugs. And then, of course, the only treatment plans that we have here, the only things that actually help out the disabled and the homeless out here don't actually help out. They want you to be a drug addict. It's called a dual diagnosis clinic. You have any idea how difficult it is as a disabled and homeless male who doesn't do drugs? Do you have any idea how difficult it is to get into a dual diagnosis clinic? You have to do drugs to be a part of that. And they had to do special thises and that's in order to be a part of the Region 1 program. Dual diagnosis. That's a mental illness combined with drug use. So if I don't do drugs, and they wouldn't let nicotine count, by the way, I tried. I was like, well, I smoke cigarettes. I can go back to smoking pot if that's what I have to do. Why should I have to fucking smoke pot? I'm not against pot. I went door to door more than once to get Amendment 64 passed in Colorado. The reason that the homeless are homeless is because nobody cares about them. If people did care about them, they wouldn't be homeless. There are services and checks and balances that are supposed to be in place to prevent the things that have happened to me for the last 6 years from happening. But then we have to look at the socioeconomic bullshit that's going on. Homeless people are expensive. Look at all the millions of dollars we have to spend every year to lock up the homeless for committing crimes. What kind of crimes? You mean crimes of survival? You want somebody to hold it in all night? You want somebody to hold in the fact that they have to pee until their bladder explodes and they die from it? You seriously want somebody to super glue their butthole closed so they don't have to poop at midnight? So that if they have diarrhea, what if they gotta sleep? Heaven forbid somebody go to sleep and use a blanket. Oh, that's urban camping. You're a criminal. And that's how you justify it. They're criminals. They're all criminals. They're criminals for using a blanket. They're criminals for sleeping outside. They're criminals for being somewhere that you can see them. You tell them to go to services, and then you try to run them out of town. Most of these people worked for a living until they got injuries, or they were dropped off at the age of 18 with nothing. Like me, it's called aging out. I didn't even have a valid ID. That sucked. Didn't have a driver's license. Didn't even know how to I didn't even know how to drive. When I'd driven a couple of times, sort of, with a lot of help. And I gotta have a ladder in here that works. There's gotta be one. There's one. Anyway, the most likely to be victimized. Number 1, number 2, and number 3 spots as far as, well, number 4 as well. The homeless are the most likely, bar none. Males, bar none. The mentally ill, bar none. And of course, former foster kids. Boom, I'm one of them too. We want to talk about how wrong it is that black people being in prison shows the fact that cops are unfairly targeting black folks. No, it doesn't, actually. It shows there's a lot more black folks in desperate positions where they feel that they have to break the law, where they feel that it is necessary. Much like the homeless. But you don't want to do that with the homeless, do you? You don't want to make the excuses for the homeless. that you do for black criminals. Oh, well, it's poverty that's the issue for black ones. But for homeless, it can't possibly be poverty. They must have chosen it. And that's how all of you justify it in your own minds. You tell yourselves those things. Oh, well, he just needs to get a job. He just needs to love himself. You know, if you'd get off the drugs, I'm not on fucking drugs, dumbass. Our guilt is assumed. It's assumed by everyone. It's assumed at the hospital. It's assumed because that's what we sell to the American public. And you guys don't put this stuff in the headlines. You don't put the sheer quantity of hell that Sean Schwartz has been put through. Beyond what Elijah McClain had to, but beyond what George Floyd had to. Beyond what Demetrius Shankling had to. Because unlike those men, I was unlucky enough to survive. And it's crickets from all of you. You want to say, oh, well, you know, the difference there is that those people are dead. Well, Zaid Atkinson's not dead. Zaid Atkinson had a shotgun pulled on him by Officer Waylon Lolatai, the very officer who assaulted me, trying to frame me for Natalie's murder. It wasn't a murder, it was an assisted suicide. Police hate us because you hate us. Police officers all start off their lives as civilians growing up. They learn the same shit from their parents, from their classmates, from the TV, from the media. They hold the same bias that you do, Caitlin Tatum. Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind.